Have you ever done everything right, loved her fiercely, treated her like royalty, gave her your time, your money, your soul, only to watch her grow colder by the day? You sent her flowers, texted her good morning every day, made her feel like she was your whole world, and in return, she lost interest. Not because you weren't good enough, but because you were too available. What if I told you the very thing you thought would win her heart is the exact reason she pulled away? There are men who women become addicted to, not because they chase her, but because they don't. Not because they give her everything, but because they withhold it. You've seen these men. She says they're toxic. She can't explain why she keeps going back. But deep down, you've always known they're doing something different. Today, I'll rip the mask off the truth and show you why women get addicted to men who act like they're nothing. Comment, "I'm ready," if you're ready to listen till the end. So let's break this down. Why do women get addicted to men who act like they're nothing? Not jerks, not abusers, but the men who aren't desperate for her time or affection, the ones who don't bend over backward, the ones who don't beg. They're not cruel, they're centered. They don't react, they choose. These men understand something the average man doesn't, that women don't crave safety, they crave strength. Not physical strength alone, emotional strength, the kind that comes from stillness, from not needing her approval to feel whole. Let's dive into it. Number 1, she chases what she can't control. It always starts the same way. You meet a girl, she's stunning, her smile disarms you, and her attention makes you feel alive in a way nothing else does. You think, this is it. She's different. You open up. You show her the parts of yourself you've hidden from the world. You respond to every text. You wait for her replies like your future depends on them. You rearrange your schedule, cancel plans, become endlessly available. Not because you're weak, but because you've been taught that being open, consistent, and generous earns love. But then something shifts. Her responses slow down. Her energy fades. Her excuses start stacking up. You tell yourself she's busy, stressed, confused, but deep down, you know something's wrong. You didn't lose her because you weren't loving enough. You lost her because you made yourself too easy to win. Women don't chase certainty, they chase value, and value is never desperate. Every man watching this has felt the sting of watching her drift away while you gave more. But what you didn't know is that the very thing she craves most is resistance. Women are drawn to the unknown, the chase, the emotional tension that activates every part of her. When she can't fully figure you out, she can't fully put you down. She replays your conversations, analyzes your texts, wonders what you meant by that last message. And that uncertainty, that's what keeps you in her mind. That's what makes her feel. The man who knows this doesn't become cold. He becomes disciplined. He chooses his words. He allows space. He doesn't flood her with affection. He drips it like fine cologne, rarely but memorably. Think about it. The guy she can't stop thinking about isn't the one who texted her 5 times before breakfast. It's the one who left her hanging once, not out of cruelty, but because he was busy living a life. He's the man who told her no when she crossed a line, not because he wanted to argue, but because he values peace more than approval. Have you ever noticed how the moment you pull back, just slightly, she leans in? That's not an accident. It's biology, it's psychology, it's reality. Women need to feel like they are earning your attention, because what is earned is always valued. If she knows you're always waiting, always ready, always available, she doesn't have to try. And what we don't work for, we don't appreciate. This isn't about playing games. This is about owning your energy. Imagine for a second that you stopped over-explaining your emotions. You stopped seeking validation. You pulled your attention back and invested it into yourself, your health, your purpose, your vision. That gym session you skipped for a phone call, you take it. That project you delayed to meet her earlier, you commit to it. That book you put down to reply to her texts, you finish it. Suddenly, you're not chasing her, you're building you. And in that energy, you become the rare man who doesn't ask to be chosen. He becomes so focused, he gives others the privilege of choosing him. That's the shift. That's the power. She chases what she can't fully grab because what stays slightly out of reach feels worthy of pursuit. A man who is present but not needy, affectionate but not smothering, available but not empty. You want to know where to start. Look at where you've overgiven. Look at where you've lost yourself trying to gain her. Pull that energy back. Start small. Delay your replies. Not to be petty, but to be purposeful. Keep a few opinions to yourself. Let her ask. Let her wonder. Let her miss you. The man who understands this walks different. He speaks slower. He doesn't fill silence with noise. He doesn't chase, because he knows, in her mind, he's the one she can't stop chasing. And when you master that, you don't lose her. You make her feel like she has something to win. And when you master that, when you truly understand the power of letting her reach instead of always leaning in, you realize it's not about playing games. It's about becoming the kind of man who can never be replaced. And if that hits something deep inside you, if you've ever felt lost in love, stuck between being too much or not enough, chasing connection only to lose yourself in the process, then you need to get your hands on the Stoic Relationship Blueprint, the ebook linked in the comments. It's not just a book, it's a foundation, a guide that answers the questions you've silently asked. Why do they lose interest when I give more? Why do the wrong guys win? How do I finally reclaim my worth without pretending to be someone else? This blueprint is yours for life. Once you own it, the knowledge doesn't leave. It becomes a part of you. You'll revisit it in moments of doubt, growth, and clarity. This isn't just information, it's your turning point. Click the link, because the man you're meant to be is waiting. Number 2. Mystery triggers her obsession. Have you ever wondered why the guy who shows the least interest often captures her the longest? Why she's texting the one who doesn't care while ignoring the one who'd move mountains for her? It's not because she loves disrespect, it's because her brain is wired for the unknown. Mystery doesn't repel women, it grips them, holds them, lives rent-free in their mind. Women are creatures of emotional exploration, of decoding, of analyzing. Give her too much too soon and she files you away like a solved puzzle. She doesn't hate you, she just doesn't need to think about you anymore. But leave just enough unsaid. Leave her with a question, a tension, a gap she has to fill. And suddenly, you're not just a man, you're a mental event. You linger in her thoughts, her dreams, her late-night scrolling. The men who trigger this aren't cruel. They're focused. They're not performers. They're not fake. They're simply rooted in something deeper than the need to impress. Their validation comes from within, and because of that, their presence carries weight. Have you ever spoken to someone who didn't overshare? Someone who answered simply, directly, without the need to prove or impress? You listened closer. You wanted to know more. That's the power of the man who moves with mystery. He doesn't tell her everything on the first date. He doesn't text paragraphs to explain himself. He lets her discover him layer by layer. And every time she peels one back, she finds another, deeper one. That's what keeps her coming back. The moment she feels she's figured you out is the moment her curiosity dies. Don't be a loudspeaker. Be a book with locked chapters. Let her earn each page. And when she asks, "Why didn't you tell me that before?" you respond, "Because not everyone deserves to know everything." That right there, that line, that's what flips the script. You've gone from boyish eagerness to mature control. Imagine this. Instead of spilling your entire life story to gain her sympathy, you tell her what matters, strategically. You share your passions, your boundaries, your vision, but not every childhood scar and every ex-girlfriend betrayal. She doesn't need a therapy session. She needs a reason to want more. Practical application. Start with your texting. Cut your replies in half. Keep your punctuation clean. Replace haha with pauses. Remove the emojis. Let your words sit. Stop chasing reactions. Let her experience the weight of your presence, not the noise of your effort. Post less. Say less. Move more. Speak with intention. Let her feel that you're not seeking attention. You are attention. That energy will haunt her in the best way. Have you ever seen her refresh your page, watch your story, text you out of nowhere? That wasn't an accident. That was the tension. The lack of information is what made her crave connection. Every time she doesn't know what you're thinking, she starts inventing possibilities. And when her mind fills in the blanks, she builds emotional investment. You want her obsessed. Stop being obvious. Be felt, not always heard. Be present, but not predictable. Let your life move forward whether she notices or not. That's what she'll notice. The man who triggers her obsession is the one who doesn't try to. He's just living so fully, so honestly, so unshakably that she has to know more. He's rare, and what's rare is irresistible. Number 3, validation devalues you. There's a reason she pulled away the moment you started pouring your heart out, and it's not because she's heartless. It's because she didn't ask for it. You think you're showing her love, but what she sees is a man handing over his crown to earn her affection. You validate her beauty, her personality, her presence, before she's done anything to deserve it, and in that very moment, you become replaceable. Every time you shower her with compliments, every time you bend your spine to make her feel seen, before she's invested anything, you send one loud, clear message: I value you more than I value myself. Have you ever found yourself typing and deleting, wondering if your message sounds sweet enough? Have you ever stared at her profile picture, waiting for that reply, refreshing, overthinking every word you sent like it was a final exam? That's not love. That's dependence disguised as affection. And the truth? Women feel it. They feel when your validation isn't earned but bought. They feel when your words aren't from depth but desperation. And the second they sense it, they pull away. Not always in anger. Sometimes with a slow, suffocating silence that creeps in until you're left talking to yourself. Because when your praise is free, it means nothing. Women don't want your compliments. They want your respect. And respect comes when you hold yourself to a higher standard, when you observe before you approve, when you give your time only to those who deserve it, when you praise not because you crave attention back, but because you truly admire something worthy. Imagine you met a woman and told her within minutes that she's the most amazing soul you've ever known, that you've never felt this connection before. You think you're being open. She sees it as weak. Not because love is weakness, but because you haven't seen enough of her to justify that level of praise. She's not impressed. She's suspicious. She wonders, if I did nothing and he already thinks this highly of me, how low must his standards be? The man who understands this doesn't withhold praise. He refines it. He doesn't flatter for effect. He observes. He sees who she really is, not just how she looks in a tight dress. He knows her beauty isn't unique if every other man is falling at her feet for the same reason. He seeks character. He seeks values. He seeks substance. And only then does he speak with weight. You want her to hang on your words. Say less, but mean more. Compliment her when she's shown you resilience, integrity, depth. Not just because she walked in with makeup on. Tell her she impressed you when she handled stress with grace. Tell her you respect her when she stood by her word when it wasn't easy. That's when your validation becomes power, because it's rare, because it means something, and because it forces her to rise to it. She wants to feel like she earned your attention, that you don't give it out like likes on a post, that your eyes, your time, your mind are a reward, not a given. You start today by pulling your attention back from women who haven't earned it. Stop liking her stories. Stop double texting. Stop giving compliments to see her smile. Invest that attention into yourself. Go to the gym, not just to look better, but to remind yourself what discipline feels like. Take your focus back and ask yourself, what am I building? Who am I becoming? Write your goals down. Get specific. Then break them into actions. Daily. Start checking those boxes for you, not her. And in doing that, you begin to raise your value. And when your value rises, your validation becomes scarce. She will feel the shift. She will lean in. She will test to see if you notice her again. And when you do, sparingly, intentionally, it'll hit different, because you no longer speak to gain her. You speak because you've already gained yourself. That's the difference. That's when your words create gravity, because they came from a man who doesn't give validation to get love. He gives love when it's earned, and in that rare, rare presence, she'll chase to earn more. Number 4. Indifference is power. Nothing turns her world upside down like a man who can walk away, not out of spite, not as a manipulation tactic, but because he's simply willing to. And the reason this shakes her to her core is because she's used to being the one with options, the one men orbit, the one men would rather lose their dignity for than their access to her. And then she meets him, the man who's completely indifferent to whether she stays or goes, the man who looks her in the eye with calm honesty and says, I want you, but I don't need you. And in that moment, her entire understanding of control breaks down, because suddenly she's no longer the gatekeeper of value. He is, and every woman who's ever been truly obsessed with a man wasn't obsessed because he tried harder. She was obsessed because he didn't, because he let her come, let her go, let her decide, and didn't flinch either way. And that man, that stoic, grounded man, lives by one rule. I never chase anything that doesn't choose me first. And if you've ever been the man who panicked when her texts slowed down, who compromised his standards to keep her around, who swallowed his voice to avoid conflict, then you know the cost of not living by that rule. It costs you your self-respect, your clarity, your soul, and you lose her anyway, not because you didn't love her enough, but because she couldn't respect you anymore. And respect is everything, more than love, more than sex, more than affection. Because when she loses respect, she loses interest, and when she feels your indifference, when she sees that you're not moved by her absence, she starts to doubt her control, and in that doubt, her desire is reborn, because she realizes that you're not like the others, you're not emotionally cheap. And imagine this, you start prioritizing your gym session over her call. You go on with your plans, even if she cancels last minute. You stop replying immediately, and instead take your time, not out of cruelty, but because your world doesn't revolve around her orbit. And she'll notice, and she'll come back stronger, more curious, more invested, because women don't chase men who beg. They chase men who are still when others bend, who are unbothered where others plead. And yes, she'll test it, she'll provoke, she'll try to get a rise out of you. And that's your chance, not to react, but to observe, to see if she fits your life, your standards, your rhythm. And if she doesn't, you walk away, not angrily, but peacefully, because your peace is the final word. And here's the shift. When you become indifferent, truly indifferent, you start asking better questions. Does this woman bring peace into my life or chaos? Does she match my mission or distract from it? Does she respect my time or consume it? And if the answer to any of those is wrong, you let go. Not because you don't feel, but because you feel too much for yourself to allow disrespect a seat at your table, and that energy, that calm unattachment, that refusal to chase, that's what pulls her in, because while everyone else was trying to be liked, you were trying to be better, and you want to know how to develop that power. You start today by creating a life so full, so purposeful, so rich with discipline and passion and progress that no woman, no rejection, no loss could derail it. You build your business, you get in shape, you read, you lead, you say no without explaining. You walk away from things that drain you, and you do it all quietly, consistently, with zero need for applause. And when she sees that your life is not a performance but a pursuit, that's when she knows you're rare, and rare men are the only ones women can't replace. And if you've ever wondered why she left you for someone less successful, less loving, less available, it's because he didn't try to keep her, and in not trying, he gave her the gift of insecurity, of mystery, of wanting more. And while that might sound twisted, it's truth. And the man who understands this doesn't play games. He simply plays by different rules. And the first rule is this: never let a woman think she owns your emotional world, because the second she feels she does, she stops valuing it. And in that space, that distance, that quiet detachment, she either rises or disappears. And either way, you win, because your peace is intact, your mission is intact, your standards remain untouchable, and that, right there, is your power. Number 5. Certainty kills female desire. There is no faster way to kill her desire than to show her she has you completely, fully, unquestionably. Because the moment she feels there is nothing left to discover, nothing left to earn, no more tension to resolve, the story ends in her mind. And if you've ever wondered why she lost interest right after you finally made your feelings clear, why she stopped texting right after you told her you loved her, why the woman who used to blow up your phone is now confused and unsure, it's because she got what she came for. The mystery is solved. The thrill is gone. The movie is over. And the worst part is that you thought you were doing the right thing, being honest, being transparent, being emotionally available. But what you didn't know is that the female mind doesn't operate on certainty. It thrives on tension, on questions, on emotional movement, not stability, not comfort, not repetition. And that might sound cruel, unfair, even manipulative, but it's simply how she's wired. And have you ever noticed how the guy she can't stop thinking about is never the one who gives her everything right away, but the one who makes her wonder, the one who keeps her guessing, not because he's playing games, but because he lives a life so full and complete that she's not always sure where she fits into it. And that uncertainty, that tiny doubt, keeps her mind locked in, keeps her energy reaching, keeps her curiosity alive. And the man who understands this doesn't play small, doesn't announce every emotion, doesn't validate her every insecurity just to be liked. He observes, he holds space, he leads with restraint, and she leans in harder every time he doesn't collapse into her emotional demands, because deep down, what women crave is not emotional predictability, it's polarity, and that polarity exists when she's not quite sure she's won you yet. And you can begin to harness this today by breaking the cycle of immediate access. Stop being on call 24/7. Stop replying the moment her name lights up your screen. Stop canceling your priorities just to be with her, and instead give her something to wonder about, something to work for, something to earn, and it starts small. If she texts you late at night, don't respond right away unless it matters. If she pushes your boundaries, don't appease her. Stand your ground. If she disrespects your time, remove yourself without needing to explain. And this shift, this reclaiming of your value, will shake her to the core, not because you're being mean, but because you're no longer playing the role of the emotionally dependent man. She can predict like a script, and instead, you've become the man she needs to study, to chase, to impress. Because when a woman knows exactly where she stands with you, when she knows your every move, your every thought, your every plan, she relaxes, and when she relaxes, she stops investing. And when she stops investing, attraction fades, and this truth will set you free if you let it, because you'll stop chasing reassurance and start giving yourself space to breathe, to reflect, to choose, not based on fear of losing her, but on your commitment to honoring your own emotional world. And if she starts to panic when she feels you pulling away, let her wonder, let her initiate, because when she's not certain of you, she works harder for you, she thinks about you, she talks about you, and you become a presence in her mind she cannot shake. Not because you're unavailable, but because you're not trying to be too available. And imagine how powerful it feels to know that you can care without clinging, love without losing yourself, show up without showing all your cards. And once you live that way, you'll never go back, because you'll see how differently she treats you, with respect, with admiration, with desire, not because you gave her everything, but because you didn't, because she had to reach for you, and in reaching, she fell. Number 6. Scarcity equals value. Every man who's ever been taken for granted by a woman made the same fatal mistake. He gave himself too easily, too frequently, too fully, thinking that love was about availability, about consistency, about showing up day after day and proving his loyalty. But what he didn't understand is that when something is always available, always present, always within reach, it loses its edge, its power, its magnetism. And if you've ever felt the pain of being her everything and still being left behind, if you've ever stayed up wondering why the man who gave her less was the one she chased more, it's because she never feared losing him. But she knew she had you. And the truth most won't tell you is that women don't obsess over what they already own. They obsess over what might leave, what might slip through their fingers, what stands just far enough away to spark the hunger, the desire, the obsession. And the man who understands this doesn't become cruel or distant or fake. He becomes intentional, and that means building a life so rich, so full of meaning, so deeply rooted in purpose that he becomes the scarce one. Not because he's trying to manipulate her, but because he has no time to be always available, always chasing, always explaining, and the woman who finds him senses it. She knows she's not dealing with someone who will cancel his plans to see her, who will text her paragraphs while she gives him one-word replies, who will beg to be chosen because he's already chosen himself. And when a man becomes scarce in this way, when he reclaims his energy, his schedule, his emotional bandwidth, something magical happens. She starts moving toward him, reaching for him, investing in him, because suddenly he feels rare, he feels valuable, and value is always pursued. And imagine this. You stop being the guy who answers every text within seconds and start becoming the man who responds when it fits within his rhythm. You stop being the man who's always emotionally there and instead become the man who listens, observes, and responds when it's aligned, not when it's expected. And this shift will feel foreign at first. It will challenge every nice guy bone in your body because you've been conditioned to believe that love is about availability. But availability without boundaries is not love. It's desperation. And women don't respect desperate men. They use them, drain them, discard them, because in their mind, anything that comes easy can be replaced just as easily. And to change this, to truly embody scarcity as power, you start by filling your calendar with yourself, your goals, your workouts, your discipline, your friends, your peace. And you let her feel your absence, not because you're punishing her, but because you're present in your own life. And the man who lives this way becomes the one she texts first, the one she thinks about when she's with other guys, the one who lingers in her heart because she's never fully sure she has him. And if you've ever wondered why she texts you at midnight after ignoring you for days, why she reappears the moment you stop chasing, it's because your absence created space for her hunger, and that hunger is what drives her to pursue, to commit, to fall, not because you gave her more, but because you gave her less with more power. And the truth is, you don't become valuable by trying harder. You become valuable by becoming less common. And if you really want to transform your life, your relationships, your sense of worth, start by treating your time, your energy, your emotional attention as sacred. Because when you do, so will she. And you'll go from the man she calls when she's bored to the man she dreams about when she's alone. From the man she keeps as an option to the one she fears losing. And the difference isn't money or looks or charm, it's scarcity. It's the aura of, you can't have me whenever you want. And that is what keeps her wanting you forever. Number 7. Neediness destroys attraction. There is nothing more repelling to a woman than the scent of emotional desperation, nothing that drains her desire faster than sensing a man who needs her validation to feel whole, who leans in too far too soon, who clings to the slightest sign of interest like a lifeline, hoping it will save him from the ache of being alone with himself. And if you've ever been that man, waiting on her texts like oxygen, changing your tone to please her, sacrificing your priorities just to hold her attention a little longer, then you know the sting of watching her pull back, grow colder, lose respect, not because you weren't kind enough, generous enough, loving enough, but because you reeked of need, and need tells her everything she needs to know. That you place her above yourself, that her attention is your addiction, and that you'll bend until you break just to keep her around. And women don't fall in love with men they pity. They fall for men they respect, and respect only grows in the presence of strength, and strength cannot exist where neediness lives. And the man who breaks free from this trap understands a painful but freeing truth, that no amount of affection, consistency, or romantic effort will save you from her disinterest if it's built on insecurity, and that the only way to truly attract and keep her desire is to not need it to begin with. Because when you don't need her, when you want her but can let go, when you engage with her but do not cling, when you enjoy her presence but are complete in her absence, you become rare, grounded, magnetic. And have you ever noticed how the moment you stopped caring, she started caring more? How the minute you began focusing on yourself, she suddenly reached out, started calling, posting, watching your stories, and you thought it was magic, but it wasn't. It was the vacuum left by your absence, the emotional space that drew her in, because women are drawn not to men who chase, but to men who walk calmly, to men who can stand still in the face of her uncertainty and say, "I'll be okay either way." And this doesn't mean ignoring her, punishing her, or becoming emotionally unavailable. It means learning how to center your identity in yourself. And the way you start today is by doing something most men never consider. Stop making her the center of your universe. Stop waking up wondering if she texted. Stop adjusting your day based on whether she's warm or distant. And instead, build your life so rich in meaning, so disciplined, so focused, that she becomes an addition, not a lifeline. And you do that by structuring your days, block out your time, hit the gym first thing, commit to a morning routine, write your goals down and execute without apology. And when she texts, you reply when it fits into your rhythm. When she pulls away, you give her space, not coldly but confidently, because you trust yourself. And if she's hot and cold, you don't beg for clarity, you observe. And if the pattern doesn't serve you, you walk, not out of anger, but self-respect. And you speak to yourself the way you wish she would. You affirm your progress, track your growth, celebrate your wins, and slowly the desperation fades, because you no longer crave her validation. You generate your own. And once you embody that energy, she'll feel it, in your tone, in your pace, in your presence. And she'll either rise to meet you or fade away. But either way, you'll remain rooted, and that rootedness is your greatest weapon. The man who isn't moved by the tides of a woman's moods, who can stay steady, calm, unshaken, that's the man she chases, dreams of, fears losing, and it all begins when you say to yourself, I choose me first. Number 8. Women crave emotional roller coasters. The cruel irony of love is this: while men seek peace, women seek motion, emotional motion, the kind that makes her heart race, makes her question, makes her feel alive. And this is why the man who gives her everything too soon, too often, too easily, ends up forgotten, while the one who takes her on an emotional journey, not of chaos but of contrast, becomes unforgettable, because women aren't wired for flatline emotions, they're wired for waves. And when you always say yes, always agree, always bend, she gets bored, not because she's evil, but because she's human. And if you've ever wondered why she keeps running back to the guy who's inconsistent, who doesn't always reply, who sometimes pulls away, it's because he gives her what you don't: emotional highs and lows, unpredictability, a reason to feel. And that's what makes the heart beat faster. And this isn't about being toxic. It's about understanding that love isn't built in a vacuum. It's built in tension, and that tension is what creates chemistry, desire, and the urge to connect. And have you ever noticed how when you start pulling back slightly, she starts leaning in? How when you stop over-explaining, she starts asking questions, and when you're no longer always there, she becomes afraid to lose you. Because now, there's something to lose, and that's the secret most men never learn: that her emotional engagement is tied directly to her uncertainty about you. Not confusion, but curiosity, and you don't need to manipulate her to build this. You just need to stop removing every obstacle, stop smoothing every edge, stop turning your love into a comfortable pillow, and instead become the man who surprises her, who says no with calm certainty, who changes plans when life demands it, who holds to his boundaries even when she pouts. And in those moments, when you frustrate her slightly, when you challenge her, you ignite her interest, because now you're not just a man, you're a force, a story unfolding, and she wants to read every chapter. And you start cultivating this today by choosing not to be her emotional pacifier. When she's testing you, you don't panic, you hold your frame. When she's moody, you stay light, tease her, shift the energy. When she disappears for a day, you don't chase, you mirror her investment. And when she comes back, you receive her warmly but without desperation. And that contrast, that dance, that's what makes her stay. And imagine you begin building your life with so much excitement, so much growth, so much mission, that she becomes part of the adventure, not the goal. And that shift will change everything, because now, instead of her being the reason you feel alive, you are already alive. And she wants to be part of your ride, and every high and low, every pause and push, every moment you let her feel a bit of doubt, a bit of uncertainty, that becomes the thread that binds her to you. And you must understand, this doesn't mean chaos or pain. It means energy, rhythm, contrast. And you build that by being a man who leads with emotional depth, who can be soft when it counts, but firm when it matters, who laughs when others apologize, who pauses when others fill space, who creates a world where she's not always sure what comes next. And that's what keeps her locked in, because the opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference, it's boredom, it's predictability. And if you want her to remember you, to crave you, to love you in the deepest, most raw way, you need to give her something to feel. And that feeling comes not from being perfect, but from being real, dynamic, multi-layered, a man of principle, mystery, discipline, and joy. And once she feels that, she'll never see you the same again. You've seen the truth now, stripped of fantasy, stripped of lies. You've felt the weight of giving too much, of chasing what only runs, of being forgotten after giving her your soul. But you also felt the power, the shift, the awakening, the realization that you can walk a different path, that you can stop begging and start leading, that you can stop pleasing and start choosing. If even one part of you is tired of the cycle, the Stoic relationship. Blueprint is the final guide you'll ever need. This isn't therapy talk. This is the unfiltered truth. The playbook women don't want you to have, because once you do, you'll never fall for the trap again. It's made for men who've had enough of being disposable. It's built to give you clarity, confidence, and control. Not just in your relationships, but in how you live your entire life. If you're ready to stop losing and start commanding the respect you were born to own, go now. It's linked in the comments. Comment the Stoic Blueprint if you're ready to take back everything you gave away. Like the video, subscribe, and help wake up the next man who's one heartbreak away from giving up.